What are the top questions asked about Uber and Lyft rideshare accident injuries? Ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft have really transformed how we get from point A to point B in today's society. They've also raised a lot of complicated questions about if you are injured when sitting in the back of a rideshare, who's liable? Who do you go after for compensation, to pay for your medical bills, to pay for your pain and suffering from the injuries that you sustained? Liability depends on how the accident may have happened. You're sitting in the rear seat of an Uber and you were involved in an accident, chances are somebody's at fault. Now, typically, you would go after the person who caused the accident. If you were rear-ended, it would likely be the person who rear-ended you. You could possibly go after that policy. If that was insufficient, you would look after any uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist coverage that may be available under your rideshare program, whether that's Uber or Lyft, and ultimately your own coverage. If you have uninsured motorist coverage, that will also compensate you for that. The specific ride-sharing companies' insurance policies will designate what's possible and what's not. A lot of this stuff also involves, so let's say you weren't involved in the Uber, but you were, say, a pedestrian been hit by an Uber. It depends if the Uber driver was on the clock, if they were going to a ride or not. So there's a lot of intricacies here to be evolved. Again, with new technologies come new problems. That's why you need to speak to an experienced ride-sharing attorney to kind of navigate that process. Number two is what types of injuries are common to ride-share accidents? Well, this is pretty typical to any car accident that you're riding in a passenger in. These can involve what's called traumatic brain injuries, or TBI for short, where you have some sort of impact to your head. Whiplash injuries, it can involve spinal injuries, neck injuries, ultimately leading to surgeries or injections, and ultimately fatalities, depending on the severity of the accident. Now, what should I do if I'm injured in a rideshare accident? You need to seek medical attention immediately. You need to make sure a police report is filed, and you need to document the scene as best as you can. Ultimately, when you're feeling better, when you're in a safe space, you want to go ahead and contact the rideshare company, let them know about the accident involved, ultimately contact your insurance company as well. One question I get a lot is, can I just sue Uber or Lyft directly? The answer, it kind of depends, but likely not. Typically, an Uber or Lyft driver are what's called independent contractors, and you would have to go through a lot of hoops to go ahead and sue Uber or Lyft independently. And that's why they have insurance policies that you can go after for bodily injury coverage or uninsured motorist coverage if you were riding in an Uber or Lyft. Sometimes I get asked the question, well, what's my case worth? What's my settlement going to be if I was injured in riding in an Uber or Lyft? Ultimately, that depends. And if an attorney you spoke to gives you a number, run as fast as you can. No one can tell you the value of your claim until you've been documented, until the injuries are known, until we have an idea of what you're suffering on a daily basis. It is virtually impossible to compare one settlement to another settlement just because they both involved car accidents. We are all individual humans. We all have our own injuries, and that will help drive the value of the claim. Now, how can a lawyer help me with my rideshare accident claim? A lawyer is going to know where to look. A lawyer is going to know what evidence to preserve. A lawyer is going to try and go ahead and preserve any video evidence, any data recording, any black box right away. We're going to go ahead and look for any intersection videos, any storefront videos that might have shown how the accident took place. And ultimately, we're going to go ahead and protect your rights and navigate the legal process as best as possible so we can maximize the settlement in your favor. If you've been injured in a ride-sharing accident, give me a call. My name is Scott Leaser with the Leaser Injury Firm. I'm here to help you and make this process as simple as possible.